Well, welcome to the Bold Vision podcast, where we explore smart strategies and scalable systems for leaders in the construction industry. Today, I am joined by Larry Moss, a leadership and organizational development consultant who's helped companies in construction grow from the inside out. So today, thank you very much, Larry, for being here and accepting this invitation. I'm so glad to have you on the show. How are you?
Doing great, and thanks for inviting me. I'm looking forward to it.
You're very welcome. So, what have you been up to since the last time we spoke?
Well, just trying to build the business, take care of my clients, and add value to them, and just living life and trying to enjoy it.
I understand that. I understand that. Well, for everybody that's listening, why don't you tell us a little bit about your business, about your background, about your consulting company, and how that came to be?
Sure, absolutely. So, I retired from the federal government. I spent over 32 years in the intelligence community, and probably the last decade of that in the department that I worked in, I helped them build their leadership development, internal capabilities, some executive and leadership coaching. And when I retired, I decided, you know what, I want to keep doing this. And so I did. I started my own business I started it on paper in 2019, went full time in 2022 after COVID. And, some of the lessons I learned from that. And that's when Azimuth Consulting was formed.
Okay. All right. And so, what is your consulting approach? Tell us a little bit about the companies that you help. And, from the very beginning when you first launched, I mean, what was your vision and how'd you do that?
Well, so our vision, and it's kind of in the name, and I'll give you a little background on how we came up with Azimuth. Um, but I recognize that there's a significant gap and deficit in leadership today, both in our communities, in our government, in our companies, and I wanted to position Azimuth as the company that will fill that gap and help develop leaders for the future. So the term azimuth, and the reason I used it as my company name, is a navigational term. All right, it's at its core, it's about direction and orientation. So sailors, explorers, and soldiers have long used azimuth to orient themselves or set their course and stay aligned on their journey, especially when the environment is uncertain or shifting. And here at Azimuth, we have a three-step framework of awareness, alignment, and accountability. And utilizing that understanding of what azimuth is, it becomes that metaphor for clarity, alignment, and direction. So awareness of your position, whether you're a individual or your team or your environment, knowing where you are at the time, because I can't set a course until I know where I'm beginning at. And then alignment. What is our true north, right? Um, an azimuth becomes our reference point towards that true north for us to orient on the journey. That includes our vision, our mission, our core values, and leaders who consistently align their decisions or behaviors to that North Star, if you will, create trust and coherence throughout their team. And then finally is that accountability. That's the ability to stay on the course, because a lot of times we drift because of our environment, the market, things happen that cause us to move from one direction or another. But if you think about as if you're traveling and you want to go from the DC area and you want to go to San Francisco, right? Eh, That's if and I set an azimuth. I don't know if you want to go to San Francisco, but if I set an azimuth and I deviate at all, right, because of the distance of that goal, that outcome, that final destination, if I deviate at all, then I could end up in Canada or I could end up in Mexico, and it's simply a 1% deviation. So when we work with companies, we request that and we help them check their azimuth. Where are they in relation to where they're at now, where they want to be, and do we need to adjust? And so that's kind of what we do here is help organizations adjust as necessary, and sometimes just go from chaos to clarity, because
I love that.
without that, that azimuth and that true north, we're left out there wandering.
Right. No, I love that terminology, chaos to clarity, because a lot of companies are in chaos. They do lack in leadership. They do lack terribly in technology, and now with the AI tools. And, we'll get into that because we've had conversations about that. And I know some of the companies that you have worked with, and I'm going to leave the names out of those companies just for the publication of this podcast in respect to privacy. But I know you work with, very large construction companies. And so my question is, what challenges do you see most often when companies are really trying to scale?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. And normally when that scaling comes in, it's going from what built the company to what is going to grow the company. And I worked with one, and they're $100 million a year company that was started back in the '80s. The guy that started the company is still at the helm, and a lot of the employees were originally came on board back in the '80s, and they're still there. So think of that as like the culture is like a family. It really is. But we don't scale our families, right? We scale businesses. So having a family culture may seem, comfortable, important, but it can create obstacles in growth. So this company wants to get to 150 million over the next year or two. But what's standing in their way mostly is that culture that they have, that we're just, we're successful. So let's just keep doing the same thing. But I tell them, well, what got you to 100 million will not get you to more than that. And one of their closest competitors is a $1.2 billion a year company.
That's a big difference. It's a big jump.
Right. It's pretty much the same size of employees, but they take different risks, they innovate. And so my question has always been, well, what's the difference? What are they doing that you're not? And a lot of it comes back to um, it's more like a family-owned business. And if you want to scale a family-owned business, you got to look past the family.
Well, I know, and we can't all pick our families, right?
Mm,
We can pick our
nope.
friends, but we can't pick our families. And
Right.
I love your analogy. Well, I mean, my saying is, if you want different results, you have to make different habits. You have to do different things. I mean, it's the definition of insanity. That's what they
Yes.
say. If you keep doing the same thing over and over, you're going to get the same results over and over. So you have to open your mindset. You have to be open to ideas. And when you hire people like yourself, consulting companies that are really trying to get you to implement whatever the strategy is, they have to be open to listening to that and taking that advice at heart and making those transactional moves that are going to be painful at first. Let's admit it. I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
we've talked about AI and CRM systems, and, a lot of these people just have these dinosaur tools that they've been using forever. And they just feel like the pain is going to be so terrible to make that move. And it is going to be. But imagine what's on the other side when they get past that.
Right.
What is their future gonna look like? And are they gonna look back and say, "Why in the hell did I wait so long to leap?" I remember
Yeah.
going from a BlackBerry to an Android. I mean, I just couldn't do it. I was like, "Oh, for the life of me." My kids had Androids, and then it was going from the Android to the iPhone. I thought I was gonna lose my mind. But I do remember, I had this BlackBerry, and I just was like, "No," because I knew how to use it. It was comfortable. It was
Right.
familiar. I didn't wanna learn new technology. I didn't wanna learn how to use this stupid thing, you know? So,
Well, and
I
that's
mean,
that's a great point because growth never comes from our comfort zone, ever, right? If I stay where I'm comfortable, then I'm never going to step out and try new things. Innovation is stymied, and and our teams see that. Well, why don't we try something new? And one of the things I'm seeing in all across all industries is these next generations that are coming in. The old way of doing things isn't going to work. It's not going to keep them there. It's not going to attract them to your company.
it's
It
not.
really isn't. And I know technology is scary for everyone. AI especially, they think AI is going to take over the world, but we've been working with AI for years, and we've been working with advancement in technology for years, even the construction industry.
Hmm.
I mean, and I was thinking about this today as I was preparing for the podcast with you. And when I was in high school, junior and senior year, during the summer, I would work construction projects. I had a guy that would bring me on, and we would build new things, repair old things, did a lot of roofing. Okay, which is one of the things I decided early on that I do not want to be a roofer. I hated the 50% tan on my back and nothing on the front, but one of the things several of us did do was, how do we roof as faster than each other, right? So we would I bought the aluminum, I think it was aluminum handle, roofing hammer with the titanium head, and I got really quick you know at putting the nail down in one thwack, and we would race, and I thought we were great. Well, my first year in college, I helped a friend frame a building. Or he had a crew come in to build this new church. And normally, putting up the frame, you got the foundation and the frame. It can take a few days to do that.
Hmm.
Yeah, we finished it in a day because the crew that came in had nail guns. It was new technology, and
Right. Ba boom, ba
roofing
boom.
became
All they
yeah,
do is
roofing
push it. Yeah.
became so it was an introduction of new technology, right? That makes things quicker. It didn't replace the construction worker. It enhanced his or her ability to do their job. And that's the same thing with AI. It's not going to replace the human being. It's going to make us faster, better decision makers, and be able to solve problems a lot quicker.
I agree. And I like what you said the last time we talked. AI is going to make smart people smarter and dumb people dumber. I love that.
Exactly.
That was your saying, and it has stuck with me because it's very true.
Yeah. And the fear of it, I mean, it's going to take time because we saw this. You look back in history with the Industrial Revolution. It it was a fear that kept people from industrializing manufacturing. Same thing with the computer age. It was a fear of utilizing the technology because we thought it was going to replace, and it will replace some jobs, but it's going to make the those that the human factor be more enhanced, and the ability to do more things, even in the construction industry.
Right. So that leads to the leadership question. So, what shifts in leadership need to happen? Because these are the people at the top that make the decisions that can
Mhm.
implement, these technologies and these changes. I mean, what needs to happen in these leadership roles over the next, say 6 months, 12 months? I mean, in order to get companies on the path that they need to be successful.
So it's funny. It's actually, in my opinion, it's a shift back to foundational leadership, right? Communication, trust, those things that if you don't have, then your leadership ability is has a ceiling. So trust some people to come in, trust your employees to make the right decisions, to introduce new technology. With younger generations coming in, they've been living with things and doing things as routinely that a lot of the older generation doesn't. So it's a fear factor. And I think leaders need to step outside their comfort zone and get back to the foundation of leadership, of trust, and of their employees, and let the innovation flow, because there's so many things that can help uh, every company, every organization, but especially the construction world. Because, like we've talked before with your CRM, a lot of construction companies don't use a CRM, and they
Yeah,
don't
we're
even
going to
know what a
get to that.
CRM is. But
Exactly, and that's I mean, we're getting to that, and that's kinda where I'm leading this conversation, but before we get into, the power of the
Hmm.
CRM. You've seen it firsthand. You've seen the AI, you know, inbound, outbound calling tools. You've seen everything that it can implement from everything from QuickBooks, Procore, safety, whatever. I'm still wanting to touch on the leaders, like, because these are
Hmm.
the people that make the decision, the business owners. I mean, how do we get to them? How do we get this message, you know, to the people that need to hear this? That's kind of what I'm aiming towards.
And I think that's a non-technical solution. It really is.
Correct.
It's we've got to get in front of them and we've got to build the relationship and build the trust, right? Because I don't know how many uh, direct messages a day on LinkedIn about somebody wanting to sell me some, and I'm a tech savvy guy, right? And I appreciate their product, but I don't know who you are, right?
Right.
I'm not going to buy your product, but let's build a relationship first.
Correct.
Once we build a relationship and we're putting ourselves in the right places, like with you, you've got a tool that is valuable to anybody that uses the tool, but you've also got a market in an industry that you connect with because you've been in that construction industry for years. So
Right.
you've already got a relationship. And that's where it has to start. It has to start with the folks that have the relationship, start building on that and utilize that trust to say, hey, I'm here to help you. I'm not here to sell you something. There's a cost to this, but that's not my purpose, right? It's to
Right.
help you grow. Because I think if we don't do that, then so many construction companies are going to fall by the wayside. And AI is not going anywhere. It's here. Matter of fact,
Nope.
in the next 5 years, if you don't have it integrated in your organization, regardless of the industry you're in, you're going to get left behind.
Yeah, absolutely. And your competitor down the street that's making, you know, the 1.5 billion compared to you, he's
Yep.
doing it, you know, and
Oh,
you're going to be
absolutely.
left in the dust. And yeah, so people really do need to get on board. And you're absolutely right about a couple things. You know, I know we didn't meet on LinkedIn, but now we are definitely connected on LinkedIn. And I do have a strong network on LinkedIn, and most of it is construction. And I have tried to build those relationships, but you know, there's one thing that's more annoying to me than anything is, you know, somebody will reach out to connect with me, and I usually will go look at their profile and check them out. And, you know, even if I know their marketing or whatever, you know, sometimes I'll go ahead and hit the accept button. And I mean, it's not even a second. Boom, there it is in my inbox. It's like a, you know, and it's just like, yeah, you know, I mean, it's so annoying. You know, I mean, I do LinkedIn outreach, and that's how I'm meeting more and more people and growing and getting people on my podcast. But I really want to have a conversation with them first, and I want to know about their business. I want to know what
Yeah.
it is that they do. I want to know how they got started, their wins, their losses. Let's give some education. Let's build a relationship. Maybe have you on my podcast, and you know, if there's something that I can help you with, great. But I'm not here to pitch to anybody, and, so I appreciate you acknowledging that, that means a lot to me.
No, absolutely. And I get the same things. It's again, any tool can be used, incorrectly, right? It's like, I can hammer a screw into a piece of wood, but
Right,
that's not what it's meant to be done. And and it's not going to hold as well, right? So if I screw it in there, it's going to tighten and tighten. If I hammer it in there, it's going to come loose in a few days or weeks. But um, and AI is no different, right? Or technology is no different. I can have it and not use it correctly, then I'm not going to get the benefits for it.
right. Okay, so since, you know, you've been on my CRM AI systems demo, you've met my global leader, you know, we've had some conversations. So how do you see the CRM and the AI tools,
Hmm.
fitting into leadership and, like, into their operation systems? Let's go deep into this and how it can help them.
Okay. So I believe as human beings, we are the thought leaders, all right, in whatever we're doing, in our expertise, but whether it be construction, leadership development, you name it, you're the thought leader. AI becomes the thought partner and that helps us do the research, the deep thinking. Because here's the problem when it comes to decision making and having to analyze data. The problem with human beings are we're slow, we're
Mhm.
unreliable, and we're pretty damn expensive, right?
Right.
Because, if I'm really good at it, I'm going to charge you more. But I'm unreliable because guess what? I'm going to get sick. My kids are going to get sick. I'm going to have doctor's appointments. I'm going to miss work. And my capacity for speed is limited versus AI, to where I can, with a few clicks and the requests that I build for my AI engine, it can look at, I don't even know what the word is for how large amount of data in seconds and
I
come
know.
back.
It's kinda
And like,
crazy.
if I was a construction company and I needed to do market research, I can hire a marketing company, a research company, to go out and look at potential clients, look at what their needs are, what they're spending on development, and what are the future holds. And it would take about 2 weeks to get a report back, and a team of about anywhere between 5 and 10 researchers to do that. I
Correct.
can do that very same thing with AI right now. Within 20 minutes, I'll have a full report.
Yes, you will.
That's by myself, right? and
Right.
and
You just
so
have to know
why
how to
wouldn't it?
use it. And that's the thing
Exactly.
people don't understand. I mean, you do have to input the correct information. It's not
Yes.
gonna give you the answer without all of the data. So if you're looking for something specific, marketing, you gotta give it the names of the companies, you gotta dig a little bit, do your own little bit of research, feed it the information, and then you can get the output that you're looking for. And then you can fine tune it, as you go. If you're not getting exactly what you want, then,
Yep.
you give it a couple more prompts and train it a little bit better.
And you can even, and it's one of the things I've been using lately,
Mhm.
and it's from a book that I've been reading, and it's such valuable information. But give the criteria. Here's what I'm looking for. Here's who I am and what I'm trying to do, and tell the AI, act as whatever you want them to act as. A market research expert, and then ask me one question at a time for up to, usually I can get it 5 or 6 questions. Now AI is interrogating you to pull data from you that you didn't know to ask.
Correct.
So it's like having an interview with a very smart person and getting the information, and then tell it to give me non-obvious strategies. And the reason I always put non-obvious, because then it's going to go deep. And
Right.
I have yet to not be blown away by some of the stuff it gives me. I look at it, man, I'd have never thought of that.
Yeah.
And
Well,
all that happens in seconds.
right. Well, I was on a call earlier, and I mean, I was just a kind of a listener, but it was a story about a company. I think they're an electric company, and they have to order all of these products, and these products get shipped in, and then everything has to be matched. When the invoices come in, everything has to be matched, and according to all of these projects, making sure that everything's accounted for. And I guess they
Mhm.
have like a whole team of people, and it takes about 100 hours a month at the end of the month to reconcile everything. And so they're looking for AI tools that will actually be able to, take the data from the company that ships the products there to what's
Mhm.
on site and do it in minutes. And, not only are they going to save time, but all of these people that are on salary could be doing something much more valuable than sitting
Absolutely.
around and looking through invoices and marking off 5 pieces of this here and, going back. They said it's just hours upon hours of pain, and they wanna
Yeah.
find a way to get rid of that.
And to me, that sounds like, because I guarantee you the company that's shipping those products have a technology that's doing all of that.
Mhm.
All of those products show up with a barcode, a QR code, or some type of scannable capability. Which
Right.
now this comes in. Now they're the company receiving them is the weak link, because
Right.
they don't have the ability to keep that flow and that momentum going.
Going.
So yeah, I can't imagine. I can't imagine having to have a team physically look at something and input anything anymore. I really can't.
Right. Yeah, so let's talk about the CRM and IA systems. You use Go High Level. I'm just going to put it out there. I mean, Go High Level. A lot of people know about that, and you love it. And that's our platform. But the difference is Calvin and I mean, we have software engineers. We're actually implementing
Mhm.
our own software on the back end. So we're customizing these tools for businesses. Why don't you I want you to give us an overview of what you're using it for, everything that you use it for, and then after the discussion with me and Calvin, what you saw extra that could actually bring value to anyone that's listening.
No, absolutely. So, when I first started the business, it's like, okay, everybody I talk to, you need a CRM, right? There's no way you can't track your activities and your funnels. And I'm like, okay, I'll get a CRM. And I won't say what I got, but so I bought a subscription to a CRM. Well, you know what? I need a website. So I need to build a website. And low funds, so I'm going to do it myself. I've done it before, no big deal. So I utilize another program to build my website, and then I'm sending emails out, and I'm like, well, I need to use something to send those out, and then a friend of mine who was the one bought the subscription for the Go High Level white label, and she's like, I want to show you what my CRM does. And I'm looking and I'm like, well, I'm already paying twice what you're going to charge, and everything I need to do plus more I can do in here. So I built a website. I built communities in my CRM. I do all my invoicing. That was the other thing I forgot about.
Well, and I was going to
Invoicing through
say
CRM.
invoicing, calendar. I already thought about
Calendar.
five things that you left off of there.
Yeah, yeah. So, and again, I had Calendly, right, which is great, but
Why
um,
pay for
if
that
I
when you
could
have
do
it
it,
in?
why pay?
Now it's
Right,
included. Same with
and
DocuSign. Why have the subscription to
yep,
that? It's in the CRM.
everything's included,
QuickBooks. You don't need
and
QuickBooks now. It's all your
right,
invoicing, everything. It's got a whole bookkeeping system.
yep, absolutely. So I'm like, all of these things I got to get rid of, and now everything flows neatly. And I do a lot of uh, virtual events, webinars, free, paid. And one of the things and I use it as part of my funnel to get,
Mhm.
people interested in what I'm offering. And then I try to move them through that stage. And everybody that uses CRM knows that, you take your funnel and your potential clients move through different stages until,
The
I've closed a
pipeline.
deal.
Yeah, there's
The pipe.
pipelines that it
Yeah.
goes so right.
And
Hot lead, warm lead, cold lead.
yep.
And then you can even categorize them where you met them. Because I know with us, and not to interrupt you, but like we met at
Huh?
networking event. So my pipeline, I have a QR code now that every time I go to a networking event, they just scan a code and then the AI calls them within 2 hours and it's automatically into the CRM. If they don't have WhatsApp, then I have another code and they can fill out a
Mhm.
form and they just fill out a form and then that puts them into the CRM and then they're automatically into the system. That's if networking. So, or I could have, something else that, somebody reached out to me through my website, digital marketing, they want a website or something. But yeah, we have
Mhm.
different, you can categorize them as well.
I mean, for example, the automation, the workflow that's built in there that you can set up. I'm doing uh, a lunch and learn series right now. It's six sessions over. It's an hour each week, and so every week when I complete the session, I could sit down and send an email to everybody that attended, or I fill it into my automation. They get a recap, they get an introduction of what's coming next week, and they get the link to the video in case they miss something and they want to go back. All of that's automated. I don't have to do anything anymore. So
Right.
that would take an assistant, a virtual assistant, or somebody else to do. Now I don't have to pay for that. And if I
Right.
have, use other my employees to do something else, but kind of going back, what one of the things that impressed me about your guys' CRM was the market research capability
Oh, the lead
that
generator
the
tool.
AI has built. Yes, I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
like, okay,
custom.
here's what I'm
That's a
looking for.
custom plugin for us. Yeah, that's pretty. I,
Yeah,
I'm gonna let you talk about it because it's blown a lot of people's minds. They just are like, "What? What just happened?"
yeah, 'cause right, because I asked the question, let's say I want to find all the owners of cybersecurity companies that are currently looking to expand in the Northern Virginia area, and, you guys are like, "Type, type, 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 type," and then boom, here's a list. I'm like, with their phone numbers, their their email addresses, and that's where I think especially, construction companies come it's still about relationships, but they're trying to go, well, we did business with these guys. What about the referrals? Referrals are important, but there's
Yes,
also people out there that would love to do business with you that you haven't met yet, but you don't know who they are. So if I
correct.
know who they are and who they're connected to, I can get a warm introduction, right? That's a lot
Right,
better
because
than a
now you
cold
have
call.
now you have a list. Now you have a list from
Yes.
our CRM or, our AI, automated tool. So now you have a whole list,
Mhm.
60, 100. I mean, you can pull as much as you want. You can keep scraping until you have a whole list, and then you can figure out, right, who might they know? How might I don't wanna do cold outreach. I don't wanna just call them on the phone and not
Right.
know. Maybe you go look them up on LinkedIn or on a social media platform, or maybe they're part of a networking event or something, or
What
they're on the board of
associations
directors. Yeah,
What
chamber.
associations do they belong to? Matter of fact, like Monday, I'm on a panel speaking about leadership and cybersecurity to the ABC chapter. I can't remember what it stands. Association of Builders and Construction something in Northern Virginia, but it's
Okay,
through somebody else that invited me to sit on the panel. So now I'm going to be sitting in front of CEOs and leaders of all of these construction companies talking about leadership as it pertains to their cybersecurity needs.
right.
And I wouldn't have had that had I not had somebody within my CRM that I connected with. And then now they were a center of influence to connect me to somebody else. And I think a lot of service related companies like construction, they have a service that a vital service that they're giving. They don't step outside of their existing networks, and that's, I think, important for business development.
I agree with you. I agree with you. So, what kind of, well, we kind of talked about everything, but I mean, out of all the tech partners or tools, I mean, what's impressed you like recently? Is there something, very recent that's happened that you saw besides, our conversations? Anything else that you can think of besides the AI and the CRMs? I mean, is there anything else you want to add to that?
I tell you, I jump in every day and kind of look at what this tool's doing, and it's not anything in particular, but just how much growth is happening and advancement and happening in technology and AI right now, and how it's impacting every industry. And so, I challenge your listeners and anybody that is looking to grow their business, whether grow professionally, is keep an open mind and just start testing it. Whatever it is, test it. It's not going to hurt. If it doesn't work
Right.
for you, move on to the next, because there's so many opportunities to grow here. And if you don't pivot, then you're going to miss out. You really are.
Yeah. Yeah, because the boat, it's not gonna stay long. I mean, it comes and docks and you gotta get on and then it's on to its next destination.
So, okay, now that I'm thinking about it, here's one that I did test, right? And there's several more. There's a tool called Lovable. The name has absolutely nothing to do with what it does, but
Okay.
it's an AI tool. And so, one of the things that I've been working on is the cost of unmanaged conflict in an organization, right? Because a lot of people think the cost is, well, I had to let Sonya go because she was causing problems. Well, it cost me that person the salary, but it goes deeper than that. So through this, I built an AI prompt to
Okay.
say, you know, here's what I want to know. Here's what the industry standard says. This percentage is what we see loss of productivity, and some other equations that I found through my research. Added that into this, and I built a conflict cost calculator where
Okay.
the leader can go in and say, "Yeah, this is how large my team is. This is um, how much money we've lost, how many deals we've lost, the cost of this. This is the percentage of time I've spent as the leader having to deal with this conflict over the week. Here's my salary, so you can calculate all that in the background, and it'll spit out the number. It's like this is what it's costing you per year because you didn't manage this conflict. How do you want to change it? You can scale it. Well, I want to see a 5% difference. I want to see a 25% difference. All right. Well, here's what then you can talk to me and I can help you get there. But now it puts a dollar sign to that. But I plugged all that into Lovable and said create a web-based and mobile app that will provide this information. And it took about 15 minutes. It took all my information, had to make some tweaks that, I didn't like the color of something. I said, we made some changes. But within a couple hours, I got a tool that I can use with my clients. So you're having conflict. Well, let's see the dollar amount that it's actually costing you, because unless we see that, then we're like, well, I don't want to invest, $10,000 with you. Well, it's costing you 1.5
More
million a
not
year.
to.
So
Yeah, it's costing you more
yeah,
not to
to
have
not
it.
exactly. So that tool and it's you can plug in anything you want and it'll
Right.
spit out a tool for you. I was like, wow, how long would it have taken me to develop that if I didn't use a tool like that?
Right. Well, I think too many companies are too concerned about what's the cost. And then the comeback to that is, well, what is it costing you not to do that? And I hear that.
Right.
I listened to a podcast this morning. Some banker guys had this podcast, and we were just, I was listening, and that was one of their biggest things that they were, there was a specific topic that they were talking about, and yeah, it's heard all the
Hmm.
time. The business says, well, how much is that going to cost me? And what you should be
Right.
asking yourself is, how much is it going to cost you not to do this? And I
Right. It's
think
like people saying, well, I don't have time to exercise, or I don't have time to, eat healthy. I don't have time to do this. Well, guess what's going to happen if you don't take the time? Because it's the investment up front that keeps us, from a health wise, that keeps us healthy at the end. So
I lost your camera
that's you're
again.
right. Absolutely.
I lost your
Oh,
camera again
hold
on the
on.
phone.
There we go.
There you go.
How's
Yeah,
that?
no yeah, you must have hit something, but, yeah, so, for anybody listening out there, I mean, sometimes you do have to make that investment. It is a hard thing to, come to grasp, but the ROI on it can be extraordinary, but you do need to do your research. Now you're out of the picture. Um,
I had to put you on a charger.
okay, get you a little bit more centered. There you go. Perfect. Nope, more. Yeah. Take your time. Like I said, all this can be edited out.
Yeah, that's the problem with going in on a phone is my hold give me a second. There we go. Now you're charging.
Okay. All right. So let's just move on to the future. Do you have a prediction of what you see for the future of leadership in construction? I mean, do you have a bold prediction of, are people going to jump on board or, I don't know. Where do you think this is going to go?
Well, one of the things that we're doing here at Azimuth is, we've built a framework and for leadership development. And the reason we did that is because this leadership development is about I think a $13 billion a year industry, and about 85% of everything that's claimed to be leadership development fails. And a reason for that is because they're one-offs, right? I'm trying to develop you, so I'm going to send you to a leadership communications course. All right, course is great. Come back, and nothing changes because there's no follow-up, there's no application, there's there's no one there to guide you through the stages. We've put everything into a classroom, and leadership is more than a classroom. It's a culmination of a journey of a lifetime. Leaders will never stop developing and getting better because that's what we do as leaders. We want to continuously to grow. We want to be able to pivot when necessary, regardless of the environment or what's going on. We want to be able to make the right decisions, and that doesn't happen overnight. So I have a background in the military. Some of the guys that worked with me are, retired or retired military. And one of the things about a military structure is we don't promote based upon what you did, right? We develop you to each level. So if I promote you to major from captain, it's not because you were just such a great captain. It's that we've developed you to be the major. I have no doubt in my mind, because of the training and the development we've done, that you are ready for that position. What happens in corporate America is you get promoted based upon what you did, right? So you were a great salesperson, all right? You won the regional sales award every quarter for the past 5 years. Well, I'm going to make you the sales director for the region. Well, did you develop them to be the sales director? No, you developed them to be a powerful salesman, a salesperson.
Right.
And then you find when you promote them, they start productivity drops down, morale drops down, your culture starts suffering because you didn't take the time to develop them where you wanted them to go and where they wanted to go. So that's if we want to fill those leadership gaps, all right, we have to get back to this foundational development of our leaders and have a defined path and alignment based upon our values, our vision, and our mission, and make sure all the leaders are aligned to that.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, it's funny you bring up the military because I've recently partnered with a 28-year Army colonel. He's a veteran. Lost your camera again. There you go. And he has built a safety software system that he has a
Hmm.
product that he's putting out, and so he and I are doing a safety mindset minute series, and it's been very, very, very interesting. So I think that's a connection that would be good for you at some later point to maybe introduce you to. But yeah, so let's just talk about your workshop. I know the last time we talked, you were doing a crisis proofing organization. How did that go? Maybe you just want to touch on that, and then we're just going to close up with, if anybody is needing your services, how they would find you. But why don't you tell us about that workshop?
No, absolutely. So I do that workshop about once a quarter. And the idea is doing the preparation to get ready for whatever may come. There's a term in the military aligns to the global war on terrorism, and its terms called getting left of bang, right? So it's the
Okay.
preparation work because we can't stop the activity that may happen. So back then it was a terrorist attack. But whatever that bang is, a market shift, COVID, a pandemic, it's the preparation that goes beforehand that allows us to navigate through that crisis. So the workshop helps to build those fundamental focuses on what do you need to do as an organization to prepare for whatever comes, because a lot of times we want the exact information. Life just doesn't provide that to us, right? We don't know what's coming, and then a lot of leaders are left in awe when the bang happens and they're just standing there. You lose their presence.
Mhm.
I mean, I know when COVID happened, the organization that I worked at, a lot of leaders just disappeared. I didn't see them for months
Right.
because they didn't know what to do. They didn't know the answers to the questions that were going to be asked, so they chose to just disappear. Well, you can't do that and keep your organization alive. So crisis proofing is the preparation prior to the unknown that's going to happen.
Right. Right. Well, this has been great. I've really, really enjoyed our conversation today. And I hope that, listeners that, the audience or anybody listening to this got some value, that we, educated some people. I mean, that's my goal. And so, Larry, if people, listeners do want to connect with you and they want to learn more about your work, why don't you just tell everybody how they can reach you?
Sure. So you can reach me through LinkedIn and just look me up, Larry Moss with Azimuth Consulting. It'll pop up. Or you can reach me at Larry at azimuthconsultingllc.com or go to my website, azimuthconsultingllc.com. And that'll have all the upcoming events that are on there and how to reach out to me for coaching, leadership development, whatever you need. We can just have a
Yeah.
conversation.
All right. Well, today was a great episode. And thanks again, Larry, for being with me today. And for everybody watching, we'll see you on the next one. Thank you very much.